What is going on, my YouTube family? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to build a new exhaust tip for the Tahoe. So I used to have a teardrop on it, then I switched over to a pie cut dump, and the MBRP exhaust ended up rusting off of it. So I cut the old tips off and just kind of set them to the side. But I want to build a new one that's a little bit different. So normally pie cuts are real thin, and you get about 8 of them in a 90-degree bend. So I wanted to do something a little different. So I'm going to have 4 to make up my 90-degree bend. So this is the old exhaust tip right here. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that one. 4 here. And what I'm going to do is show you guys how I'm cutting the pie cuts and kind of give you a brief rundown of how it's done. So I'm lucky enough to have this horizontal bandsaw, which makes it a lot easier, but you can do this on a chop saw like that guy right there. You can do it with a Sawzall if you're really skilled. You can do it with a vertical bandsaw, but this is definitely the easiest way to do it. And I really hope this video isn't shaky. It is. I'm watching the screen jerk right now. What is going on? I think there's something wrong with my GoPro, guys. So if this video turns out shaky, I apologize. I'm going to go get a new one here as soon as I'm done. But anyway, it's jumping all over the place. I'm going to change the setting. I'll be right back with you. Okay, we're back. And looks like everything's working good now. That's weird. So I just turned the hyper smooth stabilization off and now it seems to be working, but I'll know more when I get all this on the laptop. But anyway, let's talk about pie cuts real quick. So pie cuts became popular a couple years ago for all of us fabrication guys to make a really tight radius bend and not have to have some crazy, stainless steel tube bent in order to do that. So we started making pie cuts, and I learned a lot of this from my buddy David, and I've done it on a few cars just because it looks cool. And if I couldn't find a radius tight enough, I would do this as well. So the cold air intake on the Tahoe is pie cut. The exhaust tip's going to be pie cut. So basically what you're doing is you're starting off with a piece like this. So this was cut off straight at the end of a tube, and then you put your first angle in. Now this is a 10-degree angle. After that, you cut a piece with 2 10-degree angles on it, and then they go together like so. After that, you have another piece with 2 10-degree angles, and I won't be able to hold it, but after that, you have 1 10-degree angle and then a straight 180-degree again. So basically what you need to do is figure out how much of a bend you need, and then figure out what angle you need all those bends to, or all those pie cuts to be at. So if you're doing a 90-degree bend and you want 10 pieces in it, it's 9 degrees, which would be 4.5 on each side. Because you have to remember, when you put 2 of these together, you're taking a 10 and a 10, actually gives you a 20. So if you want 10 pieces, you need 4.5 on each side, gives you 9, and so on and so on. So I wanted to do something a little weird. That's why I did the 20-degree pie cuts on this. I was going to do a big teardrop, but I didn't have any 90-degree bends laying around, so that'll be another video. When I get some scrap around the shop, I'll make one real quick. But I'm going to set up the bandsaw to do, I'll probably cut 3 or 4 pie cuts, but I'll make them a little narrower. Probably do a 10-degree included, so 5 on each side. But remember, always start off with one side of the tube straight. That way when you go to weld it to whatever you're welding it to, you got a nice flat surface to weld it to. So I'm going to set this up real quick, and then we will cut some tubing. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'll do some 10-degree included pie cuts. So that's going to be 5 on each side. So what I need to do, loosen this guy up, and then we'll knock this over to 5 degrees. Just like that. Now, if you're being real specific and you want exactly a 90-degree bend, you got to be a little bit more cautious than I am. But I'm just doing this for the video, so we'll wing it a little bit. Alright, so what we have here is a piece of 4-inch straight stainless tubing, exhaust tubing. It's 304. And so this isn't the best saw in the world. It's a little cheap, but it will cut this. It just takes a while. So what I'll do is I'll set up the GoPro, let it cut, and then I'll speed up the footage for you guys. All right. Next thing that is important you can see that I have the tube marked here and here. So those are straight through the center of the tube on opposite sides. And the reason you do this is, so your first cut, you're going to be cutting this way. The second cut, you need to rotate the tube over 180 degrees to make your second cut. That way you're cutting like this the whole way down the tube, and that gives you all the pie cuts that you want. If this was a 90-degree bend, it'd be a little bit easier because I could take the 90-degree bend and lay it this way, and then lay it this way and put a level on it, and it would be perfect. But like I said, for what I'm doing, this is going to get me close enough. All right, so we've got the tube in here, and you can see on this backside right here, I want to leave about 1/4 of an inch on the inside of this, so when I go to weld them together, they're all going to be uniform the whole way through. I don't really have a good way to measure it on this. I could measure from the bed clamp here to the end, but like I said, winging it. If you want it to be absolutely perfect, you take a measurement from your vise to the end of the tube on every one, and then you'll have uniform pie cuts the whole way. But just a good generalization of how this is going to work. So I'll fire up the bandsaw and let it go. Alright, so here is the first piece we cut. You can see it's a 5-degree on one side and basically 0 degree on the other. So it'll lay flat and have a good radius to it. That's going to be our starter piece. I'll ignore those guys. Alright, so we already have our 5-degree angle on this side. Now what we need to do is come back here, and with our marks on our tube, we need to rotate this 180 degrees. Now if you look up here, we're angled this way and we're going to be cutting straight, so that's going to give us a 5-degree angle on each side for a total of 10. So all I need to do is line up the blade where I want it to cut, and then we'll cut this piece. Alright, so I'm not going to time lapse this cutting again, but you can see what we got going on. I'm going to go ahead and drag out the welder, and I'm going to start putting my tailpipe together after I deburr everything. So once that's cut, I will get back with you guys and show you how it lines up. Alright, so here are the two pieces that we have just cut. So you can see one is 0 and 5 degree, and then this one is 5 degrees on both sides. So then when you put them together, you get 15 degrees. So if I was to keep cutting these, you know, I could make whatever radius I wanted. I could do like a 180, a 90, a 60, a 50, whatever. So all you got to do is just keep rotating your tube and getting your pie cuts like so. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to weld together my new tailpipe section, and I'll just set these aside for some other project that I do. So I'm going to weld those together real quick and then show you guys what it'll look like. Alright, so this is what it's going to look like. That is going to be the new turn down. So it'll sit like that on the end of exhaust tube. There. So I'm going to go ahead and weld this, and I'll throw a short time lapse in, but I'm going to try to knock it out pretty quick. So there it is, some wide pie cuts. Alright, so here is the finished product. One pie cut exhaust tip. Turned out pretty cool, I think. I like that there's flats in between, so it turned out nice. It welded really good. This is some decent stainless, so you can see we got some pretty colors out of it. So that's it. That is how you make a pie cut stainless exhaust tip. And then what I'll do is I'll just weld a piece of tube on here, probably about that long, just so it looks nice. Kind of like how this one was done. Except I'm going to polish the whole thing before I put it on the truck. So yeah, that's it guys. That is how you make pie cuts, and you can do all sorts of stuff from intercooler tubing out of aluminum. You can do stuff for headers if you need to put a little wedge in somewhere. So that is how you do it. Just remember that if you're cutting at 5 degrees and you got 5 on each side, that's 10. So do your math before you start cutting and everything will work out good. So I'm going to put this thing on the truck as soon as the new tailpipe section comes in from MBRP, which should be next week. I'm going to go edit this video so that you guys can see it today. Don't forget there's always high PSI TV merchandise in the description below. And as you can see, I'm repping one of John Doc's new shirts, Salty Chicken. These things are really comfortable, so be sure you check out him and his merchandise as well. He started a new company called LS Nasty, which he links in all of his videos, so go check that out as well. That's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.